Brought to you by Penguin.
Studying Tess of the D'Urbervilles, the Complete Text and Revision Guide by Thomas Hardy, with revision material by Fleur Frederick. Read by Kristin Atherton and Roy Mcmillan. Welcome to Studying Tess of the D'Urbervilles, the Complete Text and Revision Guide. We begin this audiobook with a detailed analysis of the novel, covering introduction and genre, summary, context, characters, major themes, structure and form, and some key quotations. We then move on to the full, unabridged narration of the novel itself, with chapter summaries throughout. Introduction and genre. Tess of the D'Urbervilles was written by Thomas Hardy in the late 19th century. Like many of Hardy's novels, it is set in a fictionalized version of the part of England in which he grew up, which he named Wessex. It was published as a complete novel in 1891, after being published serially in a modified form in newspapers and magazines. It received a mixed reception from contemporary readers and critics. Some sympathized with Tess's plight, while others objected to Hardy's argument that Tess was a pure woman, despite her experiences, believing her to better match the Victorian stereotype of the fallen woman. Hardy wrote Tess of the D'Urbervilles to condemn the misogynistic and hypocritical sexual double standards of his age, which turned a blind eye to the extramarital sexual activities of Alec d'Urbervilles and Angel Clares, while condemning those of Tess Durbeyfields. In his 1892 foreword to the 5th edition, Hardy states that he did not intend the novel to be didactic or to teach the reader a moral lesson, but it is quite clear that it does in fact have a serious moral lesson at its heart. In many passages, such as in the last paragraph of the novel, Hardy uses his narrator to broadcast his disapproval, using inverted commas around the word justice to heavy-handedly emphasize that he does not believe it to be justice at all. Some contemporary readers disagreed with his conclusions, considering the novel a coarse and disagreeable story told in a coarse and disagreeable manner, but perhaps such reviewers found it so disagreeable because it so accurately skewered the hypocrisy of their moral beliefs. The genre of literary realism was born in the 19th century, and Tess of the D'Urbervilles is certainly an example of the genre. Realist novels attempted to depict real life accurately, partly focusing on ordinary life rather than the extraordinary. One famous Victorian realist author, George Eliot, believed that realism was not just a matter of depicting the visual appearance of reality, but also the psychological depths of reality. In 1856, she criticized her contemporary Charles Dickens for relying on stereotypical comic and melodramatic characters in his work, rather than depicting real, ordinary people in a convincing, realistic way, particularly attacking his preternaturally virtuous poor children and artisans. Tess of the D'Urbervilles is a realist novel in the tradition of Eliot, depicting the real world of 19th-century agriculture as well as the complexity of the psychology of its characters. The narrator relays the detailed realities of agricultural life in Victorian Britain, including grueling manual labour and the introduction of mechanization. Like other realist novels, Tess of the D'Urbervilles uses dialect in characters' direct speech in an attempt to accurately represent audible class distinctions. In comparison with Dickens's stereotypical poor characters, Hardy's Tess is not a preternaturally virtuous dairymaid, but a psychologically complicated person who wrestles with difficult decisions. However, this is not to say that Hardy's realism is always convincing. Alec d'Urberville appears to be a stereotypical landowner behaving badly, right down to his curled moustaches and tendency to call Tess "my beauty." Similarly, while Hardy does present the harsh realities of working the land, he also romanticizes it as an idyllic Eden in comparison with the mechanized hell of the threshing machines and the effete nature of city dwellers. Some readers consider Tess of the D'Urbervilles to be a work of tragedy as well as a work of realism. The genre of tragedy is defined as a drama of distressing events that ends unhappily, usually with the main character's downfall. The genre dates back to the ancient Greeks and has been used by many notable.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?